Yo, 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 hello, and welcome to the United Enigma. It's time. Top six, ranking the top six Premier League signings 2023-24 season. Let's go. Let's see what we got here. I'll open the chat, see who's on. Wait for some people to get in. You know the vibes. Okay. So who we gonna start with? Let's look around. We're actually gonna start with Arsenal. Let's start with Arsenal. Let's have a look here. So, in terms of the Premier League season, before we even go into the prediction, before we even go into deciding who goes where, we're gonna start with Premier League predictions. Me personally can't look any further than Man City winning the Premier League again. It's has to be expected. You know, they've bought well, they've sold, and whatever they've sold, they've replaced. In fact, they've actually got a net positive in the sense that they've actually got more signings in than outgoings. Made a lot of money through selling the likes of your Cole Palmers, who will go into now. Signed some great players, the likes of Gvardiol. We all know he got spun by Messi, but if getting spun by Messi was a barometer for calling someone a bad player, then you know pretty much all your favorite defenders over the past 15 years would be poor defenders. So let's not go there. But other than that, I'm still going to be shameless and say United to go second. Third, Arsenal. And fourth, I'm actually going to go Liverpool. Even though the links are strong with Mo Salah leaving, as we can all see, I'm praying myself personally that Mo Salah leaves. But even with all those links, I still believe that Liverpool will finish fourth, regardless of Salah leaving, just because they're frightening going forward, to be honest. And I do think they're able to get the likes of your Endos potentially working. It could be a big thing, even if Endo works. But we'll see anyway. Let's get straight into it. So, we're going to start with, let's start with Chelsea. We all know they signed everybody's mom, dad, nan this season. So, let's actually start with Chelsea, see what they're saying. So, if we have a look here, we're going to actually take the guy with the pineapple cut Lavia. This dead trim, man. Hopefully, with the new Chelsea money, he'll be able to afford a better barber. But anyway, let's get in there. So what is Lavia? 19 years old, signed him for about, 55 million pounds? Stole him off of Liverpool. That, I'd say, that personally makes it a tremendous signing. Anytime Liverpool in the mud, it's always a positive for me personally. But Lavia, I'll actually put him into the tier of, this is not me ranking him based on what I believe his potential as a player is. I'm ranking him based off of how I think he'll do in his first season at Chelsea. If I was ranking it off his career, I think he could be here or here, but I'll actually put him in the adjustable 6 tier. This is the tier, those girls that when you slap the makeup off, they're in the shower, fresh face, everything. They come out and you say, yeah, she's a 6, but if she slaps on some makeup, she might push to an 8. That's what that tier means. And this guy, take off the makeup, take off everything. He's an inexperienced player who's about to adapt to a club that's made a whole host of signings. So I do believe that he's going to be an adjustment period. So I think he's going to struggle in the first few months of the season. So I'll put him here. I do think he'll kick on though in the following seasons afterwards. What club are we taking next though? Who are we taking next? Any recommendations? You know what, we'll start with London then. Let's take a Arsenal signing. Let's take an Arsenal signing. I'm actually going to go for David Raya. There's 3 goalkeepers on here, 4 even. Let's start with David Raya. Personally, David Raya, let's all call a spade to begin with. David Raya is a better player than Ramsdale. I hope we can all agree on that fact. Is that agreed in the chat? David Raya is better than Ramsdale, right? Going off of that, his ability to play the ball the way Arsenal want to play, it pains me to do it because I hate Arsenal, but I do think Raya will be that guy. I do think he will be that guy. The ability to play the ball out of the back, the fact that even if you go off of statistics, I know it's not all about statistics, guys, before you shoot me in the chat, but the ability to play out from the back and also his save percentage was considerably better than Ramsdale, whilst also being a better ball playing keeper. He slots straight into that system that Mikel Arteta is developing, and I think he's an improvement in literally all areas of goalkeeping, and at the same time he also produces less errors than the likes of Ramsdale. So overall, for the price as well, what was he, 23, 27 million? I think that's great business from Arsenal. He's an upgrade on the keeper. He's still at a good age as well. Probably going to be potentially Spain's international keeper. I mean, Ramsdale can't even keep Pickford out of the team for England, so that already tells you all you need to know, to be honest. But anyway, let's go into the next player. Let's go to the scum of the Northwest. Scum of the Northwest. Let us take out... You know what? Let's head to Japan. Let's head to Japan. I'm going to take Endo. Endo, yeah? So this guy, a lot of people don't actually know, Endo's a Champions League winner. Endo is a Champions League winner, believe it or not, guys. Sad to say though, it's the Asian Champions League. So, you know what, I'm not going to put him into the Lakaka tier. I could be shameless. I'm actually going to put him into the McFred tier. You know what, he's going to be that McTominay or Fred kind of level. Decent all round, bit of energy. Duracell bunny, runs around, kicks people, puts in a literally kiss the badge. He's that kind of guy. Kiss the badge, you're gonna bleed, blood, sweat and tears for Liverpool. But when it comes down to those big nights in the Champions League, is he gonna dominate midfields against the likes of a Jude Bellingham, a Camavinga, Tchouameni, Modric, Cruz, Pedri, Gavi, these kind of players? I highly doubt it. So I'll have to put the Champions League winning Wataru Endo into the McFred tier. What are you guys saying? I see, yeah, the Lakaka tier, man. There's no lies to it. Lakaka tier. Anyway, next team we're going to go in for. Let's go to United, my boys. My boys United, let's go in. Let's see. Me personally, I'm going to actually grab... Actually, in the chat, who do you want me to rate first out of the United players? Tell me. Tell me in the chat, which of the United players are we taking out first and putting into the tier list? Any recommendations in the chat? Which United player are we ranking first? Mount. This guy wants to get a big one out the way already. Mickey Mount first. Okay. Well, we got Mount here. Mason Mount. 55 million pounds plus 5 in add-ons. First thing I would say is, did we need Mount? I mean, that's the question that's been on every United fan's lips, to be honest. Did we need Mason Mount? Mason Mount S tier easy. I don't know what Kool-Aid you're drinking, but I want some, mate, to be honest. But yeah, Mason Mount. Cool. We'll have we'll take Mount. I'll actually Lakaka tier, no, like come on guys, it's not that deep. McFred tier, to be honest, I mean we got rid of Fred to bring this guy in, so can I put him in the McFred tier? I'm gonna slap this guy into the adjustable 6. I think that's the perfect tier for him. Come on. Let's not be shameless, guys. Adjustable 6 works perfectly for Mason Mount. Let's not even do the shameless thing. Like, look at it this way, yeah? The price, everyone wants to talk about the price, but we've seen Conor Gallagher linked in the final hours of the window with Tottenham for £40 million. We've seen a relegated James Maddison with Leicester with not much time left on his contract go for, what was it? Was it 30 million? Conor Gallagher 40. Mateus Nunes for, what was it, about 45-50 million to Man City. And that's a player that's not really done anything in football. He's played for Wolves. Don't get me wrong, he's a very, very good player, Nunes, and he's probably an upgrade to Mount. However, this is a player that he hasn't done much in football, and he's gone for 45 to 50 million to Man City. So if you're telling me that someone has won the player of the season for Chelsea twice, that's a big club. As much as we call them the rent boys and they're ruining football, whatever you want to call about Chelsea, they are a big club and they have won, and he's won player of the season twice for them. Enough said. 55 million is a lot, but if Conor Gallagher's 40, Mount is at least 55 million. That's what I'm going to say. So let's put the price to one side. Is he a big step up on McTominay and Fred? I wouldn't say big. I'd say he's a marginal to, if McTominay's about a 5 or 6, he's about a 7 or 7 and 7.5. So that fits perfectly with the whole concept of being an adjustable 6. He's slightly better than average, in my opinion. Sometimes will be good, sometimes very good, sometimes very shit. He's an adjustable 6, so that's where I'm going to put him. Anyone talking about Lukaku tier needs to relax. Who are we going for next then? So we're just going to cover it club by club until the club start running out of signings. So I'm just going to go straight in there and I'm going to grab a Man City player. Let's actually take Nunes now, since we have just described Mount. Okay, so United fans in the chat, we should all be quite aware of Nunes' talents. He completely ran through Man United's midfield like a dirty girl at Carnival. Ran through our midfield. You get it, yeah? Man ran through us. So look, yeah, if Mount is here, at bare minimum, because Mount and Nunes both played that game, so you could literally have analysed that game and seen the matchup. How did Mount fare versus Nunes when they went head to head in the midfield battle? He underperformed, whereas Nunes showed himself to be a good player. I'm not going to say that, is the reason why Pep signed the player because of how he performed against Man United. However, of course it helps. At the same time, if Mount's here, Nunes has to be here. I don't think he's quite on the level of being a top G kind of signing, a Tate signing, but he's that guy. For me, he's that guy. And he can't be on the same tier as a Mason Mount or a Lavia, who I think is a good player. However, I don't think he'll hit the heights straight away at Chelsea. Next, I'm just going to take one of the big ones out as well. It's going to be Maddison. James Maddison. If we're going to go off just the way he's performed at the start of the season so far for Tottenham, you'd probably be looking definitely at hero here. And honestly, because of his history in the Premier League, the fact that he's consistently had a great creative output in terms of chance creation, also assists and goals in the Premier League, you've got to be putting James Maddison in one of these two tiers, because he actually has the credentials in the past to back up sort of what he's doing now in the present for Tottenham. As much as they went out in that Forest game, he went out in the League Cup with Tottenham, he wasn't on the pitch that day, and a lot has to be put down to the manager for that performance and that loss in that tournament. I'm personally going to put James Maddison in I'm actually going to go to the top G's tier. He really played a blinder versus Man United, to be honest. He was amazing versus us. Created a lot of chances. Ran through even the likes of Casemiro, had him ducking and diving the whole time. It was poor from our midfield, and he absolutely turned the screw in that second half, and he literally put us to the sword. So James Maddison, he's already showed it. He's gotten some goals from, gotten some assists. He's showed to be deadly from set pieces, so he's able to carry on that performance he's done at Leicester, and he's been able to step it up now. Of course, we need to see it more often, a bit more. But the only reason, again, like I mentioned before, I'm able to put him in this tier, which is S, is because he's got the Premier League history to back it up. If he had just been a new signing and had a couple good games, I wouldn't be putting him here. If that makes sense for you guys. Next one. So we're going to take one that's actually a fresh signing. Very, very fresh. A bit controversial, I think a lot of opinions may differ on this one, but what are you man saying about Ryan Gravenberch, who's just made a 40 million euro move to Liverpool? Ryan Gravenberch. We have to take things into consideration. We have to look at the whole picture when it comes to Ryan Gravenberch. If we're just going off of, the season he had at Ajax prior to the move to Bayern Munich, we'd be talking about putting him here or here. 100%. Here or here. Future starlet, 21 years old, world at his feet. However, after the season he's had at Bayern Munich, where he's been unable to even come close to a starting position, we need to question as to where we put this guy. And I'm trying to put my Liverpool bias to one side, because if I wanted to, I could throw this guy in the Lukaku tier. But I won't be doing that. As we're ranking it off of how I feel like they will perform in this season, as opposed to how they'll be like in 2-3 years from now, I think there will be an adaptation period for Ryan Gravenberch. There will be a period of him trying to gain his confidence back, which has definitely been lost. A player of that caliber, don't know much about him. What kind of midfielder is box to box? Yeah, he's very much a box to box midfielder. A lot of sort of scouts, they likened him to being like Paul Pogba. And let's be serious here, anyone calling this guy similar to Paul Pogba, that's what you would literally call lofty praise. Because Paul Pogba for me is one of the most talented, that's the key word, one of the most talented midfielders of all time. He's not one of the greatest. He never achieved nearly enough as the likes of Zidane's, your Xavi's, your Iniestas. However, on pure, raw footballing ability and complete attributes, Paul Pogba is one of the best and most talented football players there's been, in my opinion, in terms of the midfield area. But in terms of greatness, he's never going to be in any conversations ever. But yeah, for him to be likened to the likes of Paul Pogba, that gives you an idea. Press resistant, good on the ball, good in tight spaces. He can shoot, he can pass. Think of him as a diet Paul Pogba. I'd throw him into the adjustable 6 tier just because of how he was in his last year before coming to Liverpool, as in being on the bench, not in the plans with Tuchel. I mean, the likes of people like Goretzka are looking to be phased out of this team right now. You got Thomas Muller, who's aging. You got Jamal Musiala, who's not a box-to-box midfielder. The likes of Sabitzer has been sold. There's literally space for him in this midfield. There is space for Gravenberch to be in the midfield, starting game after game for Bayern Munich. The only person that's really got a nailed down position in the Bayern team is Kimmich. So please tell me why Gravenberch hasn't been able to start games. For me, there's something about him that hasn't worked, stepping up into a more difficult league. And now he's gone a level above. So if the Dutch league is here, German league is here, he's now come to the Prem. He wasn't able to work here in the German league. So now he's got to bridge 2 gaps and make it work. So you have to question, there's something about him that's not working, because people like Goretzka, Jamal Musiala, all these players, Musiala's not even a midfielder, yet he can't get into the team above him. They'd rather play an aging Muller in an industrious position like box to box. So yeah, there's something about him that's not working, guys. Anyway, next, we're moving on swiftly now. Let us take Serge Reguilon. Regular old Reguilon. The best thing about this guy is his girlfriend. That's pretty much it. Go back to maybe 2020. I wanted this guy over Alex Telles. That Real Madrid experience, showed a lot of promise, much younger. At the time, he's probably about 22, 23. But we ended up getting Alex Telles, and you know what happened with that guy. Best thing he can do is cross the ball. Anything to do with running, he's finished. This guy, I'm not going to lie, the fact that Man United have the audacity to release the news that we're paying this guy £125,000 per week, keeping in mind he was on about 40k per week. 40k per week this guy was at when he was at Spurs. He's come to us and tripled his wage, but he's done nothing in football over the past season or two. Please make that make sense. I believe this goes straight into the Lukaku tier. The fact that we've even given him a break clause. He isn't even being, at least with Cucurella, as much as we wanted to put the break clause in, he was Ten Hag's first choice to bridge the time where Luke Shaw and Malacia are out. Now we've got this guy Reguilon. Nice and simple, into the Lukaku tier. That's it. No questions asked. Next now, we're going to take another Chelsea signing. We're going to go for a big one. Moises Money Caicedo. Money Moises Caicedo. And there's only one place for me that can put this guy. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'm putting Caicedo into this tier. Anyone kidding themselves based off of that first performance he had against, who was it? His debut. This was the game just after Liverpool. Moises Caicedo's debut, there's been a lot of talk about him. He was poor. He stank the place out in a midfield, holding hands with Enzo Fernandez, who's one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, in my opinion. Held hands with Enzo Fernandez and completely stank the place out. But people aren't taking into consideration that, similar to what Amrabat, who we'll get onto, has done this summer, he wasn't playing for Brighton. He was forcing this move. He wasn't interested in their pre-season endeavours. He clearly is not match fit. Needs to adjust the system. A new team needs to get up to Premier League levels of fitness as well. So anyone kidding themselves to think that because of that one bad game, I'm looking at you Liverpool fans, because he rejected you, now you want to run your agendas. I've been seeing you guys. You want to run your agendas because Caicedo was poor in his first game. But I'm telling you, come the reverse fixture when he turns up at Anfield, you're going to see something. And I'm guaranteeing you guys of that, because him, Fernandez and maybe Lavia, that is a frightening midfield trio, and you guys are going to get a whole smoke on that reverse fixture. That's all I know. Next, we just spoke about him. Bold brother, Sofian Amrabat. Sofian Amrabat, the man who waited, the most patient man in the Premier League, Sofian Amrabat. There's only one place this bold brother can get. That's S tier. The same tier as Top G. Bold on bold crime. There's only one tier he could go to. Amrabat, a lot of people are talking a lot of smack. Typically, you know, when a player signs for United, they go from being here to here, 100 to 0 real quick the minute they sign for Man United. It's all these agendas we've been talking about. The amount of football fans that were sucking this guy off during the World Cup, and now because he signed for Man United, automatically it's conversations of, but he's not even going to start. Oh, he's not even that good. He's overhyped. He's only being signed because of that one tackle he made versus Mbappe. And so what? Because when this guy is running man down in the Premier League, you guys are going to see what's what. He is, for that price as well, because price comes into it. Nowadays in football, people only want to talk about money. So let's talk about money now. 25 million. Name me a better midfielder that any team in Europe could have gotten than Amrabat for that price. The profile matches perfectly. He can slot into the 6th position. He can slot into the 8th. Don't think of him as if he's some sort of a regen of Scott Parker or something. He runs around in the midfield kicking people. He's not just a kick and run merchant or a hatchet man in the midfield. This guy can ball. He has the highest stats for progressive passing in the Serie A. better than even the midfield players that are in Napoli who have the highest possession stats in that league. So don't think that he's coming to Man United to just kick people and then, you know, pass the ball 5 yards. He can transition the ball from back to front, long balls through the midfield like this. So Amrabat is a perfect signing for United, and he solves a problem we've had: lack of physicality, lack of mobility, and also lack of ability to transition, play under pressure, and, you know, just overall midfield dominance. We've been lacking men in that midfield. People confuse energy with physicality. Those men have those broad shoulders. Can he carry that midfield? Can he work in that tussle? People like Bruno and Mount, these are guys that have got energy, Duracell bunnies. These men can run for days. But go shoulder to shoulder with Bruno and Mount, them lot don't want it. There's a big difference. We need players like your Amrabat, like your Casemiro's, who shoulder to shoulder can take that physical challenge. We don't need these Ericssons who are fancy players, but the minute a physical challenge comes, I've seen him multiple times back out of challenges. This guy gets bypassed in the midfield time after time after time. He's a joke, man. So very simple. This is the kind of player we needed. S tier signing, you're gonna see. It's a pity he might not be able to play Sunday, or else he would have finished you guys. Talking to you Arsenal fans, you these man. Anyway, we're going on now. Let's actually take it. We're just, since it's Arsenal versus United, just talked about a Man United midfielder. Let's go on to an Arsenal midfielder. Let's take on Declan Rice. We've all heard all the jokes. We got Rice at home. Paid £100 million for a bag of basmati rice. Heard all the jokes. West Ham sold him and got better. We've all heard the jokes. But for what Arsenal needed, if we just put money to one side, for what Arsenal needed, I think Declan Rice is a perfect fit. Similar to what we've gotten in Amrabat, this is a player that can slot into the 8. He can slot into the 6. He can carry the ball. Again, like I was talking about before, the physical side of the game, he's got that in spades. Energy, strength, he's got that height. He can hit a pass. I'm not going to say he's a regen of Pirlo or something, but he can hit a pass. All around, solid in a lot of areas, sort of like a 7.5 in all areas, but also in terms of physicality, that's his real selling point. Very physical. To be honest, I do believe that he is that guy. I do think he's that guy. Because when we're ranking these signings, we also have to speak on how transformative these signings are. How much of a difference does Declan Rice make to this team? I believe he makes a big difference. However, if we look at how Xhaka performed, there are a lot of Arsenal fans, and I'm just going off what you guys are saying, that have an issue with this signing in terms of replacing Xhaka, because Xhaka was very good for them in the last season, and because of his sale during the summer window, they've now brought in Kai Havertz to replace him, but instead Declan Rice, Havertz, the whole balance of the midfield has been thrown out of whack. We're gonna have to see how things gel and mold, and how Arteta fixes this. Hopefully, he doesn't fix it by the weekend. You know, just saying. Hopefully, he doesn't fix it by the weekend. But we're gonna have to see how things progress. But I do believe Declan Rice is gonna be that guy. Putting the price to one side, because, like I said before, with the Mason Mount topic, if the likes of Gallagher is 40 million, the likes of Brennan Johnson, you're looking at about 40 million. The likes of Mount with 1 year left on this contract is 50 million. How can Declan Rice not be 100 million in this market? Caicedo 115, Lavia 50 to 60 million, Mount with 1 year left 50 million and a bad season, Gallagher 40, Brennan Johnson 40. If these caliber of players are being sold for 40 and have either come off bad seasons or not really done anything in football, how can West Ham's captain, who just came off of season winning trophies, has played season after season after season in the Premier League, performing great stats in a poor team, How can he not go for 100 million? I'm sorry, but that's how football is. And we fans need to accept that real quick. Get with the times. Get with the times. Very simple. Now back on to Man City. We're going to take the 1v1 demon himself, according to Thierry Henry. I mean, if he's calling him a 1v1 demon, who am I to say he's wrong? I mean, if Thierry Henry is giving you that kind of praise as a winger, I can't really talk much, can I? Jeremy Doku. This is a player that I won't lie to you guys, I haven't watched him too much in terms of at club level. I've seen him in the international matches. I know that he's frighteningly quick. We're talking on that same sort of tier of speed of, you know, the likes of Vinicius or Mbappe, that kind of level where it's just dumb pace, FIFA pace, that kind of player. He's not an inverted winger. He's very much a natural winger, going to go down the byline, put crosses in, tricky, going to absolutely, you know, be a nightmare in transitions. I can see disgusting bits of play with Haaland winning balls from Edison's long kicks, flick-ons to Doku, the pace that's been injected into that Man City front line. If you guys thought Man City were a problem now, the variants, they can literally switch up on a team on a dime. They can go from a Foden, tricky winger, or Bernardo on the right wing, inverting inside, trying to link up with people, 1-2, slipping people in, to all of a sudden completely 180 and move to Doku, and he's just running man down like they owe him change. So for me, I'm actually going to put Doku as an A. The age, the price, the profile, the intangibles as well. That kind of speed, that's just literally natural, God-given gift, that kind of speed. And you can't, one thing you can't account for in sport is speed. Sometimes no amount of tactics, no amount of planning can prepare you for a long ball over the top and unmatched speed. That's just plain and simple. Doesn't matter how well drilled you are, how good your defenders are, one ball and you're finished. That's all it takes when you have that level of pace. And if we combine that with how good Man City are as a team, I think that signing spells doom for a lot of teams. You play against like Foden all game, and all of a sudden Doku comes on, or vice versa, might be even worse. You're playing against Doku all game, he's tired you out, now Foden comes at you. It's just a problem. This is why Man City, you can't ever look past them to win the league again. I just don't know what to do, don't know what to say anymore. I'm a Man United fan, and these guys are probably going to get 4 trophies in a row, being our record, following on a treble winning season. There's nothing you can do or say anymore, but it is what it is. I'm going to take it back to Liverpool now. Again, I'll repeat myself, the dirty Northwest. We're going to take the Wi-Fi password in Szoboszlai, or whatever his name is. Szoboszlai, yeah? Is that how you pronounce it? Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai is a good player. He is a good player. Watched him in the Chelsea game. Watched him a little bit at his previous club. I believe it was Leipzig in the Champions League. Saw him at times. Szoboszlai. The price, I believe he was 80 million, right? 80 million for Szoboszlai. Something about it, he just, I know people are trying to say he's the regen of Gerrard, but you lot need to relax. Just calma. It's not that. We're going to go for an adjustable 6, in my opinion. Adjustable 6. This is not Liverpool bias, salt, whatever you want to call it. I just don't think Szoboszlai is going to be that amazing. Again, I could be proved wrong. However, I don't think he's going to be that guy in the league. To be that guy or top G tier, you got to do something more, in my opinion. And I think that he's good, but he's not great. And especially because of how Liverpool are currently in terms of how things are a little bit uncertain in certain positions. And also the fact that they're still worried about the DM situation. I mean, Endo, he could be good. Like I said, he's an Asian Champions League winner, so he must be good, right? He won the Champions League. But anyway, yeah, this Szoboszlai guy, he's good, but to get into these tiers of in this part of the tier list, you gotta do a lot more than Szoboszlai, in my opinion. But food for thought, and maybe he'll prove me wrong. Because if I just take the next Liverpool player out right now, McAllister, for me, A. Now, hear me out, Liverpool fans. You guys might be thinking that, yo, McAllister, blah, 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 he should be in the S tier, this and that. If we're taking into consideration the type of football Liverpool play, high octane, gegenpress, full of energy, transition type of football, obviously with some control involved. It's not like they, sit back and counter like prime Ollie days. But McAllister, I don't believe he suits that type of industrious game. And especially because if we're going off of what Liverpool fans say, who don't actually believe in the signing of Endo, they don't have a CDM that can facilitate for a player like McAllister, who doesn't have that sort of combative nature and he doesn't have the same level of basically the legs. He doesn't have the legs of even a Szoboszlai or a Caicedo, who he was partnered with. He needs legs, but he needs also that quality partner with him in the pivot area. And it's still left to be seen as to whether Endo will be that guy who's going to form a strong partnership in that midfield. If it was just based off in terms of how I rank McAllister as a player and what I think he may do in the future for Liverpool, I would potentially put him in the S tier. But like I said in the beginning, I'm basing this off of the short to medium term of this 2023-2024 season, and McAllister, partner with Endo, will not bring out the very, very best qualities that I believe McAllister could show if he did have a Caicedo. Caicedo, Liverpool fans, it's peaking it. Or Lavia next to him. So it's more of a who he's going to be played around that isn't pushing McAllister potentially into the S tier, because I do think he's that good. However, that's left to be seen. A is still good. I think he's that guy, but he's not a top G for me. Next, we're going to take out another Chelsea player. There's a couple of Chelsea players that, you know what, let's take out Cole Palmer. 40 million pounds for a guy who's made 20 appearances and scored a handful of goals. Is that what we're doing now? And people want to talk about the signings of Mount or Declan Rice for their price ranges, but we're signing basically an academy graduate who's unproven completely for 40 million. This is the times we're living in. Again, I'll say, guys, get with the times. So look, we're going to put Cole Palmer. Based on ability, you'd want to be putting him here. Quite frankly, you want to be putting him here. But because of the fact that Chelsea have such numbers in the attacking areas, they've got the likes of Madueke, they got all these talented players. Sterling's on that right-hand side now, and obviously Cole Palmer frequents the right-hand side. He's an inverted winger. Let's be serious here, yeah? I'm going to put Cole Palmer in the McFred tier. Now, don't come shooting, don't come guns out, suns out, all that crap. It's very simple. Cole Palmer's going to be sitting in that McFred tier for me. He is the turmoil that Chelsea are still in terms of figuring out who the best players are to play in different positions. The manager still needs to embed his tactics into the team. I believe he's behind Sterling in the pecking order. I believe even Madueke should be ahead of him in the pecking order at this present moment. So again, like I said before, if we're basing it off of 2023-24 season in the Premier League, will this guy perform consistently better than the likes of a Szoboszlai, Lavia, go ahead, Declan Rice, or a McAllister? This is why he can't be in the same tier as them for me, because he probably won't even start as many games as these guys above here, and likely he'll be getting kept out of the team by a better player. It's very simple. So for me, Cole Palmer in the McFred tier. Sorry, Chelsea fans, but you gotta hold that. Next, we're gonna grab a contentious one. This is one that a lot of people already have their pitchforks out for. I'm sure you guys can probably guess. It's a goalkeeper, one of the goalkeepers on here, and it's gonna be Andre Champions League Onana. Andre Onana. He got chipped in pre-season by the halfway line. He got chipped by Jude Bellingham. And now man think he's a chump because he got chipped. Yeah, so, it's very simple. Onana, if we're going off of being a transformative signing, Onana's got to be in this tier here. That guy. You guys need to keep in mind that Man United have suffered. We suffered with De Gea in net. Yes, he's a legend. Yes, in his prime, he was probably the best goalkeeper in the world. But football's changed and time has changed. The likes of De Gea could not be starting in the current day era the way we're going to get pressed. We will fast forward on Sunday and see how Arsenal will press us in that match. But we're going to see time and time during that match Onana bypassing the press, either with an accurate long ball or playing through the lines into our midfield, relieving the pressure on the back line. And as much as people don't want to admit it, he can shot. Labia Beta, how am I tripping? Bro, maybe you came late to the chat, yeah, but listen, yeah. I base this off of purely how I think Lavia is going to do in this upcoming season. If it's 1 extra year from now, 2 extra years from now, going into 2024, 2025, I think Lavia, at that time period, he's probably going to be here or here. But in terms of this current season, where I think he's going to be getting embedded into the Chelsea philosophy, I think he's going to be learning more and more about what it's like to play at a big club. They've taken on the step up. The fact that Chelsea still do have other players in that position who are probably going to be slightly ahead of him. I don't think he's going to perform on the same levels in the midfield as an Amrabat, as Caicedo, who's in the same team as him, as a Declan Rice, as a McAllister. But these are guys that all are more experienced than him. So I don't think it's too harsh in saying that he's not going to perform to the same level as guys who are far his senior. Is that a bad thing to say? I don't think so personally. But you tell me in the chat, innit? So like I was saying about Onana, he transforms completely how Man United are going to play. I'm going to give him the A tier. He can shot stop. People don't want to admit it. Even look at Pep's quotes during the Champions League. He completely had changed how he plays in terms of the press because of Onana. Very simply. Best ball playing keeper in the world, arguably between him and Ederson, is between those two for sure. He's got that physical presence in the box. People want to call it a penalty, but look how he took out that Wolves player. De Gea used to stay on his line and let people dominate him. De Gea is 6'3", but he's literally got the presence of a 5'6" man. Watch and see what Lavia does this season. Don't worry, bro. I rate Lavia. I would have loved to have Lavia myself. I'm just saying that I don't think he's going to have an amazing season. I think for a first season, it'll be a good season. But overall, as a first season, being good, you always need to step on from that. For example, a lot of people would say, who can I give as a good example? A lot of people would say that, I don't know, Malacia had a good first season. But having a good first season, you always need to move on from that and be better and better, because first season you always get judged at a lower standard. It's very simple. So Lavia could have a good first season, and that's what I think he'll have. But a good first season compared to this kind of season that elite midfielder should have, for me, it's a 6. So he's an adjustable 6. Do you get it? If he wipes the makeup off, he's a 6. Put some makeup on him, he'll have good games and he'll look like an 8. He's adjustable. Simple. Next, we're going to take, you know what, this Chelsea fan, he's itching to have me rate his players. Don't worry, I'll take Jackson for you now. You happy now, bro? There's where I put Jackson. Jackson, for me, he's that guy. He's that guy. Rare, it's very, very rare to see a forward player that has still got a lot of these attributes. He's well rounded. It's very rare to see forward players like that. Strong, tall, quick, can finish. As much as, you know, we've seen a little bit of shoddy finishing from time to time by him, but he can finish. He's got ability in the air, and his link-up play is probably one of the better ones you see in the league, especially for what you'd call quite a big man. He's got great feet, great link-up play, holds people off. Likes of a Sterling or a Modric, if he comes into form, will really feed off of him. I think personally that Jackson, he's going to be amazing for you guys. And quite frankly, I would hazard a guess as to why Chelsea didn't drop the big bag on maybe a Vlahovic, for example, is because of how he performed. Jackson in S. We'll see. Honestly, if I had seen better displays of finishing from Jackson at times, I would have put him in the S tier. I can't lie to you. If I'd seen better displays of finishing, he'd be S tier still. But for now, he's going to have to be in the A tier. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be doing tier lists, fam. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be doing more tier lists. If Jackson starts to perform even better, his finishing improves, all of that stuff, don't watch it, man. In a month from now, this guy could be an S tier. Easy. So Jackson, I rate him highly. He's pretty much an almost complete forward. Needs to work a bit on the finishing. And also, we got to talk about the price. 35-40 million for that quality. Chelsea done a blinder there. They normally just like to drop the big bag willy-nilly, but they did some shrewd business with Jackson. So I can't lie. Little clap there still. Okay. Let's take out. You know what? Let's finish with Tottenham. Let's finish with this small club, innit? Let's finish quick time with the Tottenham, White Hart Lane, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Beyonce's concert ground, what do you want to call it? F1 race car ground. This Tim Pot club. Let's rate Mickey van der Ven, Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is actually very good. He's very good. He performed tremendously well versus United. He performed well across pretty much all the games he's played so far. Even in the game that they lost. Even in the game that they lost in the League Cup, he performed well in that game as well. He looks to be a very good signing. Got bags of pace. Positionally quite sound. He can play out from the back. He's aggressive. I think he's going to be a good partner for Romero. Romero seems to already sort of gone up a level. Who would have thought it? You put decent players around decent players and they look better. For a long time, we've been saying it. You know, a lot of these United players or whatever, or a fan, some other teams, you look at your signings and you think, oh, why is this guy so bad? When there's a whole host of shit around them. Look here, yeah? Mickey van der Ven next to Romero. Romero suddenly starts looking like the Argentina Romero. It's very simple. Football's not that difficult. You put good players next to good players and you get synergy. We're going to put him for now in A, but Spurs being Spurs, he could very, very, very quickly come down. In fact, you know what? A? Nah, not even. I don't think he's been tested that well. Let me not even do that. I had to check myself there still. I'm going to put him in B still. He's an adjustable 6. I'm thinking, I had to check myself. I'm thinking, Rice, Onana, Jackson, has he made that much of an impression yet? Nah. I'll put him in adjustable 6. He's borderline though. If there was a B plus tier, Mickey van der Ven would be in B plus, maybe along with like a Lavia. They'd both be in B plus. We'll go with that. The next one I'm going for is United. Oh, Manchester United. This club is not serious with this level of signings. What's his name? Alte Bandir. I need to go. I need to go on Google Translate and figure out this guy's name. I can't lie. Yeah, seems like a calm guy. Turkey's an international keeper, quite experienced. He looks a bit lean. He's given me he's given that De Gea physique. Like you can get at him. I feel like you can get at him. Dan Burn in Newcastle. If we played Newcastle around the time where, for example, Onana's offered the AFCON if he ends up going, and we've got this guy in net, I can just imagine them just slap Dan Burn on this guy, a couple elbows in the chest. Those guys will drop like De Gea they used to. I'm a bit worried still. I haven't seen him in buckets, and I'll back him as a United signing, but I can't lie. It's just a backup goalkeeper at the end of the day. So, nah, he's not as bad as Reguilon. I'll put him into the McFred tier. He's not that bad. I'll put him in the McFred tier. We'll have to see how things progress moving forward with this player. I do think that we probably can get something out of him. We did scout him at the end of the day. Apparently, we were following him for a while, so this might not just be a random signing as United like to do. We'll see in it. We'll see. This one is an asterisk over. He could very, very quickly drop into this Lukaku tier if I see him getting bullied from corners. Gonna take on Man City again now. Gonna go for a big one. That's Gvardiol, the man who got spun by Messi. Gvardiol, his profile, playing in a system with the likes of John Stones and a Ruben Diaz partnering him, Nathan Ake on his left, Walker on his right, Ederson in behind. The way this guy was able to perform with that Croatian defense, even with that Leipzig defense, who we all know ship goals. Look what Man City did to them last year in the Champions League. You put a guy of this caliber surrounded by elite talent in that defensive area, you got to be putting, and Rodri in front of him. I can't lie, I think Gvardiol is going to look like an absolute unit in that defense next to the likes of Ruben Diaz. I think it's going to be peak. Recovery pace for days as well. That adds a little extra element into that centre-back position because they haven't really had that sort of explosive pace at centre-back. They've got in terms of the full-back area with Kyle Walker, especially doing that recovery defending, but now have to have Gvardiol and Kyle Walker able to recovery defend. They're going to be so hard to beat, even in transitions. They've got that high line, and they've got the likes of if anyone thinking that Man City is going anywhere this season, they're literally living in cuckoo land. They're probably going to win and win comfortably, around 94, 95 points again this year. It is what it is, man. Let's get this one out the way real quick. Let's get this one, the big one, out the way real quick. Kai Havertz, aka Dracula, aka James Charles. Let's get him out the way quick time, innit? So for Kai Havertz, where are we putting him, guys? Where are we putting Shy Boy? Me personally, I've already made up my mind as to where I'm putting Shy Guy. I already made up my mind as to where I'm putting this guy. There's only one place he can go, and for me, that's the Lukaku tier. You do not play Kai Havertz in that Arsenal team that was so well oiled, so well drilled last season. Look how they've started this year. Before I finish that, just that question you asked there. So the guy here, he's a new Turkish international keeper that's been signed by Man United. I believe the fee was in and around, what was it? Somewhere between 5 and 10 million pounds. Why is Jackson S tier? He's not, oh no, he's A tier. Man said I'm violating, bro. It's not even still. I'm just being straight in it. Kai Havertz, yeah. I told you in it, the tier list can change. At some point moving forward, I'll reflect upon this and we're gonna do another video like this in the future. But for now, Kai Havertz has to hold it. He's in a team that were great. He was in a team that were great last season, yeah. Narrowly lost the Premier League, capitulated at the end, typical Arsenal, that's what they do in it. But moving on from that, he's coming to this team now for £65 million, £330,000 a week, and he's taken Arsenal backwards. He's taken Arsenal backwards, yeah? And don't get me wrong, things can change, players can change, they can improve, they can do better. Of course, we all know this. We're not going to act as if players can't improve under a new manager. We've seen it time and time again. But this is a man, yeah, that's been lauded as someone who's got the ability to somewhat be a striker. Yet I'm seeing Saka putting good ball after good ball into the box, and this guy's movement is non-existent. So you can't tell me that this guy doesn't deserve to be in this tier for that price, those level of wages, to come into a team and then bring them backwards. And this is talking about in the short term. Medium to long term, he could improve them. He could improve them medium to long term, but in the short term, he's taken them backwards. Arsenal signing for no reason already. Yeah, exactly. They have the likes of, they've got Odegaard, they've got even Trossard who can fit into that position. They sold Xhaka, your captain, got 14 goals and assists last year for you. Box-to-box midfielder, can contribute defensively, great passes on the ball. You actually felt Xhaka's presence on the pitch. As much as you know, in the beginning, people took issue with Xhaka. He was obviously a leader enough for Arsenal to have kept him as the captain after the whole issue with him throwing the armband. Clearly, Arteta saw that leadership quality in him. He's got presence on the pitch, physicality, got goals, got assists, helped dictate play. You've gotten rid of that guy to bring someone in for far much more money from a rival as well. So you aided a rival on top of that, just for them to come backwards in performances, backwards in results. That's why it's not just the player itself, because ability-wise, I can't sit here and say he's necessarily a Lukaku tier player. However, in terms of the knock-on effect he's had on Arsenal, I can't put him anywhere else than Lukaku tier. He has shot on you, man. So it's Lukaku. Simple. Now we're going to take on another goalkeeper. Let's talk Robert Sanchez. Let's get this one out of the way. It's not the most interesting one, but let's take Robert Sanchez. A couple of years ago, you know, when Man United was still talking about getting rid of De Gea and stuff like that, we were linked with Sanchez. We were linked with him still. We never ended up moving for him, and I can say I'm actually happy because, to be honest, he was replaced at Brighton. They have taken on another goalkeeper and he was relegated to the bench. I'm not too sure as to why Chelsea didn't go for Mike Maignan. I assume it was something to do with he probably wasn't so interested to leave the club, because Chelsea definitely had the money to have gone for Maignan and he would have been an absolutely immense signing for Chelsea. But Robert Sanchez, I'll actually be putting him into that McFred tier for me. McFred tier. He's not so bad that I don't believe he'll bring Chelsea backwards. These signings here are the kind of signings that don't add any value, or they even may subtract value from the club they've moved to. I don't think he's so bad that he subtracts value from the club, but he doesn't add or elevate Chelsea to where they want to be. This is the player Chelsea wanted. Before Man United were heavily linked to Onana, Chelsea were in the mixer. They were looking like the guys most likely to sign him. But what happened? He said to them, "No way, Jose. I don't want to play for the Rent Boys in that tiny stadium. I want to play for a proper club." Very simple. That's what Onana said. And that's why Chelsea ended up not moving for him. So they went out and took their frustration out on Liverpool and went and took all their players. That's basically what happened this summer. So Robert Sanchez, 6'6", bit meaty though. Nice trim, but a bit meaty. So we're gonna move like that. So let's take this guy now. The only Scandinavian striker in the Premier League that matters. Højlund better than Haaland? Anyone in the chat? Anyone? So now we're taking Rasmus Højlund. Okay. In terms of ability, raw ability and profile, I do think he's going to be an absolutely insane signing for Manchester United. I think that in a few years, people will be talking about £64 million being an absolute steal, because by that point, he'll probably be worth in excess of £100 million. However, Højlund, he came in with a back injury. He came in broken. So how can I place a man that came in broken, missed our first 2 games of the season? And quite frankly, at the end of the day, he's still an unknown. He has not had the level of performances. You know, you could even argue Højlund being in the adjustable 6 tier. You could argue it. We haven't seen Højlund yet. I can't lie. You know what? Let me put my Man United hat off. Let me take it off. Take the hood off yet. My Man United hood off. I'll put it down, yeah? He hasn't done anything yet. I rate him. He's one of the fastest players in the Premier League. He's 6'3". He's strong, good in the air. He can link up play. He can finish. For a left footer, he's got on his right foot as well. He can dribble. He's got all these attributes. But he came in unfit. He's unproven. If you look at his stats on the surface, it doesn't look too good as well. But we weren't just going off of that. I can't lie, until further notice, he's got to go in the adjustable 6 tier. I don't know what you guys think about that. Tell me in the chat. But I'm putting Højlund, should I say. Man's already making mistakes. But I'm putting Højlund in this tier. Adjustable 6, along with Lavia. So the guy before, the Chelsea fan, who had issue with me putting Lavia in B tier, you'll see now why he's in B tier. So off topic, Mason Greenwood just joined Getafe. Mason Greenwood just joined Getafe. On that, isn't that club a sort of, you'd almost call them, they're always flirting with relegation in that league, I swear. Mason Greenwood's gone to a club that's flirting with relegation. Damn. How a star has fallen. This peak, you know, is peak. But any move at the end of the day is decent. I would say that if we're just going to speak on how good he is talent-wise and put aside all of the fiasco regarding Greenwood, talent-wise, he's so good in my opinion that him going to Getafe isn't going to detract from his ability to move beyond that team. He'll probably perform very, very, very well for the next season or 2 that he's at Getafe. I'm sure he'll get a swift move to a bigger club, bigger and better club, along with the fact that, you know, by that point, the news surrounding him would have died down. He'll definitely get his move. Most definitely get his move. I'm not worried about Greenwood. He's no longer a problem. He's just one that got away. One of the most talented players that I've seen at the club. He's just one that got away. He effed up, and it is what it is, isn't it? But anyway, moving off that topic real quick, we're going to go on to Julian Timber. Timber. If we're going off of how Timber performed in that community shield that Arsenal actually picked Man City to win, if we're going off of that, Timber, I'd actually pop him into that guy or top G tier. The fact that he's able to be a right-footed right back and play on the left-hand side, he's so composed on the ball, defensively secure. He is part of the reason why a lot of Arsenal fans have finally opened up their eyes to the fact that crybaby Zinchenko isn't actually the right fit for them in their system. As much as he's absolutely amazing in inverting, playing those balls through the line, basically playing as an additional centre mid. The minute he's challenged physically and a decent attacking player sticks it on him, he is donezo. And for a team that are trying to win the Premier League, these sorts of intangibles in the biggest games, it's fine margins. Look what happened in the Liverpool game. That was one of the turning points for Arsenal's collapse in the final stages of last season. If Zinchenko was swapped out for Timber in that match, Timber would not have been nutmegged versus Trent. And even if he somehow had been, he would have had the physicality and that desire as a naturally defensive player to get back and stop him. Even if it meant, potentially putting in a foul challenge and taking that yellow card. But Zinchenko, a little bit weak, a little bit soft. He hasn't got that natural defensive aggression. Let him go. And the rest is history from there. Arsenal's collapse ensued. But he's a man that's out for the season. He is a finished man. So, as much as I try to hype him up, Lakaka, because he's out for the season and we're judging it on the season, he's in the Lakaka tier. As much as if he was still fit and firing, I believe he would have been in and around A or S performances for the season. He's going to have to be in the Lakaka tier because the guy is out for the season and this is a season ranking. It's not about the future, it's about this coming season. So Lakaka tier for Timber. Sorry to say. So now we've got a couple of people left. Conor Gallagher was here because I believe he may have left to go to Tottenham. But he looks like he's going to be staying now. So let me grab Kovacic. Let me grab Kova. Kova is performing extremely well at the moment for Chelsea. Extremely well. He looked a player. He looked far better than in the season for Chelsea prior. I mean, everyone was poor, but he's looked significantly better. Almost getting back to that sort of Real Madrid or early days at Chelsea form. Kovacic definitely goes into that. He's replacing Gundogan. Of course, he'll never be Gundogan because that's a guy that, he's a Premier League, you call him a great, to be honest. His achievements, the moments. But if we're judging it as an individual player, not looking at Gundogan who he replaced, I think he'll be that guy. If you actually look carefully at what Pep is building at Man City now, you can very much see a lot of the thing about Pep and why Man City continue to win year after year after year after year is because they quickly and swiftly adapt with the times. They get with the times. Before, it was all about sort of in the past, when he first came in, he grabbed the likes of a Sterling and a Sane. Fast, dynamic, powerful wingers. They were also technical, of course, but they were very quick, very dynamic. Paired them up with KDB and basically put a lot of legs, a lot of speed in and around Aguero, who of course was older. He was aging. He didn't have the pace anymore. So he put speed and ability around Aguero. Football changed a bit. People started favouring more technical play, all this box midfield, inverting. So what happened? Grealish comes in, Bernardo or Mahrez is on the right now. The game starts to change a little bit like that. So now we move into the stage of how football you can see is progressing. Now football is becoming very, very, very physical, especially in the Premier League. Now you need dominant physical players who of course need to still have that technical element, especially to play in a Man City. You can't just be, for example, you can't just be a McTominay who runs around doing nothing. You actually have to, when you get that ball, you're doing something with it. Look at that midfield now. You've got Rodri in that midfield. You've got Nunes, who we saw how he physically dominated and bullied Man United. You've got Kovacic, who we all know has got a great engine and he's got physicality as well. He's got speed across the ground. And also, all three of those midfielders are highly, highly, highly press resistant. And on top of that, they can all, especially Kovacic and Nunes, they're both great dribblers. How do you actually get Man City in the press now? They can bounce the ball, one touch, two touch. Carry the ball past you. They can hit the long ball into the likes of Doku and Haaland to chase after it. How do you actually catch Man City lacking now? The amount of options, they literally were already the best team in the league and went and had the best transfer window as well. This is where other clubs are failing because they allowed them to continue grabbing that momentum and don't do enough. Pretty much look at where I've ranked all of their signings. S and A tiers all around. And you wonder why Man City are being tipped to win the league again. And you wonder why they're probably going to win again. Look where the players are ranked. It's very simple. It just is what it is. All other teams need to step up. Axel Disasi, in terms of how he performed initially, he looked all right. Seems as if he started to wane a bit, needs to get adjusted to how Chelsea are going to be performing. Initially, I probably would have put him in around the adjustable 6 tier because he looked, he was all right. He was all right. I mean, it's all right. But now I'll probably put him in the McFred tier. He needs to adapt to the league, get used to it. You know, he needs just that adjustment period. I know there's a couple contentious ones in here. People don't really seem to like the Lavia pick into B tier, but it is what it is. I just don't see him having an amazing season this year, as much as I think in the years to come he'll be in and around the top spots in the Premier League. But this is my tier list so far. What are people saying in the chat? Meanwhile, Chelsea just tries to fish for a treasure. Yeah, Chelsea, that's what they've been doing. They're just fishing for treasure, anything they can find. Just doing it. So if we look at the tier list now, we've got, if we just run through it quickly, in the top G tier, James Maddison, Moises Caicedo, Sofiane Amrabat, and Josu Gvardiol. These are my S-rank players, the players that I believe are going to be the game changers for the clubs they've been signed for. Moving forward, we've got that guy tier. That guy, the players that I think, you know, just maybe that slight level below, still probably team of the season contenders, potentially here and there. But these are players that have the potential to move up in that top G tier and are real. They're going to be very important to their team. They may not be sort of the main guy. They may not be, let's say, the most transformative signings for that club, necessarily this season at least anyway. However, I think for their club, they're going to be a big part as to why whatever success these clubs get this season, these guys will have a hand in it. Now, next tier is going to be the adjustable 6 tier. So this tier was for what I describe as you strip off the makeup, you've come out the shower, fresh face, what are you looking like? A 6 out of 10. Nice and average. You're kind of pretty, maybe even a little cute, but you're not leng. That's what this tier is about. Lavia, this is the main one people took issue with. He's here because in his first season, in a Chelsea team that's still adjusting, he's adjusting to playing at a new club, he's adjusting to all this new environment, and being only 19 years old as well. He's not even currently match fit or starting yet, so I don't really have anything to go off of except for, you know, half a season or a season at Southampton, who are a relegation standard club. That's not enough for me to move him ahead. Talent wise, Lavia should be a higher, but I was doing this unbiased and based off of just right here, right now, how do I think they're gonna do? And him, he'll have games that are adjustable. Sometimes he'll look like an 8 out of 10, very good player. Sometimes he'll look average. But that comes with the territory of being young in a new environment at a big club. Moving forward, I think it'll be amazing. But that's why he's there. Mason Mount, let's be serious. We all know he's literally the definition of an adjustable 6. Some games like Champions League nights for Chelsea, he'll be amazing. He'll do great things. He'll win the ball high up the pitch. He'll create chances. He'll put in good crosses, set pieces. They'll score goals from it. People will be sucking him off. Return of David Beckham. He'll look great. Look like an 8 out of 10. And other matches, he'll get bypassed in the midfield, misplaced passing, and goal missing. He's adjustable. Sometimes he'll look average. Sometimes he'll look great. Ryan Gravenberch, he's just an unknown. Talent-wise, again, he could be a lot higher, but he's an unknown. Szoboszlai, I just don't think he'll be that great. I think he'll be good, but again, there's more to come from him. Van de Ven, he's looked good in his first couple of games. However, I just have to add Spurs tax on it because at any point it could just go like that and all of a sudden he's dropping down this tier list real quick. But as for right now, he's very much adjustable. He's looked good at times, he's looked a bit average at times. However, I think he's going to be a great signing for them, but I just haven't seen enough to put him higher on the tier list so far. You could argue that guy, and I did think about it, that's why I said he'd probably be more like a B+. Højlund's the one that hurts me. Højlund is the one that hurts me, to be honest. As a United fan myself, Højlund, I would have loved to say S, which I do think he will be there in a few years. Or even by the end of the season, people could look at him as an S tier signing. However, he came in injured. He's relatively an unknown. People are comparing this guy to Erling Haaland already just because he's over 6 foot, blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, fast, and left-footed. He's been compared to Haaland already, and that's always going to be a stumbling block for a young guy. If he doesn't come in and score 20 plus goals this year, he's going to be shit because the people have already got the clip ups, the art, the wallpaper already set up of Haaland on one side, Højlund on the other. We already know when the Manchester derby rolls round, it's going to be Haaland versus Højlund. That's the narrative. And when Højlund inevitably underperforms because he's being compared to Haaland, that's all people are going to talk about. He came in injured, like I said, so I can't really put him beyond that because I don't know. Talent-wise, I do actually think he'll end up being around here or here by the end of the year, genuinely. But I'm being fair and unbiased, irrespective of being a United fan. So you got to be fair. Endo, people could argue he should be higher because he's a Champions League winner. No, I'm joking still. He's an Asian Champions League winner. Let's not do that. But, you know, he's just a McFred tier. Come on, like, is there much of a difference between this guy and Fred? I don't think so. So he's going to be in the McFred tier. Robert Sanchez wasn't even number one keeper for Brighton. So how can he be anything higher than the McFred tier? A bit below average. Disasi started off okay. He's dropped off a little bit. Erling, best signing of the season. Erling Haaland. I mean, it's hard to argue him not being the best signing of the season, especially for that price. What, 65 million for Haaland? I know it was a release clause, but he still paid the money. 65 million for Haaland is money well spent. Obviously, the contract's a bit booky. The fact that man can just up and leave when he wants, basically in a couple years to Real Madrid or something. But for the next few years they have him, he'll probably score 120 to 150 goals in 3 seasons. It is what it is. Cole Palmer has not done enough in the game to deserve any higher. Bayindir, it's a backup goalkeeper. Reguilon, loan signing, average player. He's not the same player who first initially left La Liga to come to Tottenham. He's being paid way over market value. Right now, Manchester United are paying Malacia, Reguilon and Luke Shaw £500,000 a week on 3 fullbacks. And you wonder why Man United couldn't afford to pay for Amrabat straight up instead of loaning him. You wonder why we couldn't sign a Todibo. You wonder why we couldn't have gotten a younger striker or a older, more experienced striker on loan, for example, or bought outright when we're paying $500,000 a week on just fullbacks, Reguilon included. He's not even good enough that we want to keep him. We're literally going to do a break clause and get rid of him in January. So Lukaku tier. Havertz, again, he takes Arsenal backwards, which is the Lukaku tier. These are players that have shat on their club basically and have taken value out of them. Timber is the one that people just coming into the stream are probably thinking, is this guy on crack? Timber's only here because he's out for the season. So by virtue, for a guy that was signed for about 40 million, he has taken value away from them because that's 1 year off of the 5 or 6 year contract he signed that's gone to pot. It's a 1 year loss. It's let's say they amortize the 10 million per season, let's say they paid. that's still in the bin because he's gone for the year. If it was based off his 1 or 2 performances he had this year, he'd be already looking at being that guy because he's better than Zinchenko. But he's taken value away from Arsenal, which was my stipulation for what Lukaku tier is. So that has been my tier list, guys. Comment what you think about this tier list. Tell me what you would have changed in this tier list. Don't come with smoke and that. Just tell me straight up what you think would have been a better change, better fit. I will be coming back with future tier list videos and updating these in terms of the signings and overall players of the season between all the top 6 clubs. We're just going to have to see how the season progresses. This list, I assume, could change very heavily. But for now, this has been my list for top 6 Premier League signings of so far, how I'm ranking them on deadline day. Moving forward, we'll see in a month's time, 2 months' time, around Christmas, the turn of the January transfer window, how these players are performing. And of course, as the months roll by, we'll do this again. Thank you so much for being on the stream, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you pay your rent, fam. Just drop a like for me. Let's go. Signing out, guys.